See that last night. What an absolute mess at the presidential debate last night, June 27th. In this video, as we always do, we're going to take a step back and look at the numeric script that gave us last night's entertainment in Atlanta, Georgia, at the debate between Donald Trump and current President Joe Biden. Biden's performance last night was so bad that even the Democrats are admitting they are in a form of crisis mode, as the current president even at one point bizarrely declared victory over Medicare in just a strange mumbling, bumbling night at the podium. In this video, we're going to talk about how this connects to the city of Atlanta, Georgia, which hosted the debate, the home and headquarters of CNN. What I also want to look at is how this connects to the 2021 World Championship by the Atlanta Braves. In November of 2021, I made this video, which talked about Donald Trump's visit to the World Series in Atlanta and how it was a numerical riddle connected to the Eclipse code. Donald Trump was born on the date of a total lunar eclipse. And indeed, last night's gathering was a riddle connected to the same numerology. Notice how last night's debate was 131 days before Election Day on November 5th. In the language of Gematria, using the alphabetic order, where every letter is numbered 1 through 26, the city of Atlanta, Georgia equals 131. Also in ordinal, the word championship equals 131. And in 2021, when Trump attended the World Series, it was the Braves' first championship in nearly 3 decades. But what I want to look at is a riddle connected to the telephone. The city of Atlanta, Georgia, is home to area code 470. And if you've seen any of my recent work on Donald Trump and everything that's been going on with him, you may have picked up on the fact that 47 is a very significant number for the former president. In fact, notice how area code 470 was introduced just 1 week before the 9/11 attacks. And this is very relevant. Using Latin gematria, the name Donald equals 119. Latin, or Agrippa's key, is the cipher that I consider to be the most significant. It's very similar to English standard gematria, which uses the same denary system but maintains the current alphabetic order. And we'll glance at this one as well. But first, notice the 119 in Donald, kind of like the 11th of September. Last night's debate was 1,190 weeks after the implementation of area code 470. Last night was also a span of 11 months and 19 days before Donald's next birthday. And remember, the reverse of this, 911, is the emergency dialing code. And on the date of the 9/11 attacks, the World Trade Center was destroyed, including the 110-meter communications tower on the North Tower, which facilitated mobile phone calls. Don't forget, the first mobile phone call was made just a day before the World Trade Center opened in 1973. In standard gematria, the word debate sums to 217. Now, why is this relevant? Well, of course, Donald Trump first became the president in the year 2017. In Latin gematria, the number 470 sums to 2017. And on the date that area code 470 was implemented in 2001, Donald Trump was a span of exactly 20,170 days old. In that same method of gematria, the name Trump equals 470, matching the Atlanta area code that he's synced to. Trump also equals 47 in reverse. When Trump celebrated his birthday earlier this month on June 14th, he was also exactly 4,070 weeks old. And now he's trying to become the 47th president. In the reduction forms of gematria, also known as Pythagorean, where every double-digit number is reduced to a single digit, President, White House, government, Republican, and Democrat all have this 47 gematria. Of course, the government headquartered in D.C., which also gives us the 47. But what I want to talk about is how this is all a riddle connected to the great American eclipses that stamped an X over the United States, the second of which occurred back on April 8th of this year. The debate was held in the city of Atlanta, and whether you run the alphabet forwards or backwards, Atlanta has the same gematria as the word eclipse, 69 and 120. The city of Atlanta is located on the 33rd northern parallel from the equator, and its nickname ATL in ordinal also sums to 33. This is important because the word eclipse has reduction gematria of 33. And back in 2021, when the Braves were led to the World Series, it was by a manager named Brian Snitker, and the last name Snitker equals 33. Well, when the Braves captured the World Series title on November 2nd, it was a span of 33 days before the only total eclipse of that year. And to rewind the clock, a few weeks before the World Series, I even made a post explaining why the Braves were my favorite to win the World Series based on this eclipse code. This year, Election Day falls 3 years and 3 days after the Braves won the World Series. In fact, that was the 117th World Series. And curiously enough, the word debate sums to 117. Now, once again, in the description below, check out the video I made on the death of Ernie Johnson's son, who passed away during the World Series. And Ernie Johnson, a TNT broadcaster, his grandfather played for the Braves. And this video explores the lunar eclipse riddle that was involved. Of course, both lunar and eclipse equals 33. It's a pretty short video. It's less than 4 minutes, so if you missed out, definitely watch that when you're done. The team name Braves sums to 67 and 22. These are the same digits you find when you write out total solar eclipse, summing to 67 reduction and 202 in ordinal. Now the digits 22, this also connects to the year 2020. Remember, we had the CV pandemic. This has ordinal gematria of 220. It was caused by a virus called orthocoronavirinae, which sums to 220. And it was Trump who brought us Operation Warp Speed, which fast-tracked the VAXX to production, where Joe Biden would try to mandate it. In the reverse order, Donald John Trump equals 220. And this debate was 2 months and 20 days after the total solar eclipse that passed over the United States. Also notice how in the alphabetic order, the name Donald John Trump sums to 185. Well, last night's debacle was 18 weeks and 5 days before Election Day. In the book of Revelation, there's one verse that mentions both a solar and lunar eclipse. This is Revelation 6:12, a very significant verse in the book. Using the King James Bible, or the Masonic Bible, I explained the significance of the King James Bible in my last video on the death of Shifty Shellshock. This verse has ordinal gematria of 1192. And this is important because of the number 192 here. In fact, when the Braves won the World Series in 2021, a big reason I was able to predict that is because the franchise won with their 10,920th victory of all time, which has the digits 192. Notice how presidential debate 1902 Sumerian, but more important is that eclipse equals 192 in Latin. The word second also sums to 192, and of course 2024, the year of the second eclipse in 7 years over the United States. Well, total eclipse anyway. But as I mentioned earlier, Donald Trump was born on the same date as a total lunar eclipse. Last night's debate was 19 months and 20 days after the last total lunar eclipse. It was also 261 days before the next lunar eclipse. And in the alphabetic order, the United States of America, 261. The name Trump equals 29. And notice how Trump was born during brown lunation 290. This is a number connected to Jesus Christ. And of course, a lot of Republicans see Trump as the savior of politics here in the nation. Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ all have gematria connecting to 29 or 290, matching the brown lunation that Trump was born during. In the New Testament, during 3 of the 4 Gospels, it's described that darkness fell over the sky as Jesus was hanging on the cross. Now, this is rather unusual and typically only happens during an eclipse. So the fact that eclipse equals 33 syncs up with this story from the Bible, as the crucifixion of Jesus Christ equals 303 in ordinal. Of course, a lot of Christians think this happened in the year 33 AD, when Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was hung from the cross. Well, notice how Trump was born on 14/6 of the year 1946. This is a nod to the name Jesus Christ, which sums to 146. And Trump's trouncing of Biden in the debate last night was 146 days before Joe's birthday. Christ also equals 77, which matches yesterday's date numerology. 6 plus 27 plus 20 plus 24 equals 77. And before I finish up with that thought, another thing I wanted to point out is the number of days between the birthdays of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Remember, these are the 2 presidents who presided over the coronavirus pandemic in the United States. And you can't help but point out that these 2 men were born 1,303 days apart. Because in Latin gematria, coronavirus equals 1303. And what date did Donald Trump declare coronavirus as a national emergency here in the United States? Well, that was on the 13th of March, or 1303. So to anybody who thinks that Trump is the hero to restore order to the United States, understand this is all part of the script that's been running for many, many years now. In Hebrew gematria, Jesus sums to 316. This is very similar to Jesus Christ in the reverse standard method, 1316. Notice how last night's debate was 3 years and 160 days after Joe Biden took office. That's also 1,255 days. And when you look at the brown lunation for last night's debate, it was under lunation 1255. Again, every new moon since 1923, numbered with each new moon on the calendar. And just a reminder, the name Jesus equals 985, which is the reverse of Donald Trump's value, 589. And on the date of the 9/11 attacks, Donald Trump was 55 years and 89 days old. This, of course, circles back to what I pointed out early on in the post, which is that the debate was 1,190 weeks after Area Code 470 was implemented, just a week before 9/11. But this alignment here with the area code shows you exactly why Atlanta was chosen. And now this year, we have the 120th edition of the World Series coming up. And in reverse, Atlanta equals 120, just like Eclipse. So once again, check out the video I made below, which explored the numerology of Trump's visit to the World Series to watch the Braves play in Atlanta. That game was played 138 days after Trump's birthday, and it was right after the death of Ernie Johnson's son, Michael, which equals 138. And measuring between that game and last night's debate was 138 weeks. In the alphabetic order, Donald Trump gives us the 138. So if you want to learn more about the number 138, check out my blog. I'll try to link this post below as well, which explains the numerology of a coup d'etat attempt in Bolivia. Coup d'etat has that 138. And it all connects to the president of Bolivia, who was born 138 years after Bolivia gained its independence, on a date with numerology of 138. Bolivia's full name also with Gematria of 138. It's all connected to the Venus rose, as on the date of the 9/11 attacks, the planet Venus was situated at 138 degrees of the ecliptic. And curiously, divine feminine equals 138 and 9/11. Bolivia with the reverse 9/11 syncing up with the president's numerology. And of course, he's a Libra ruled by Venus. So yeah, check the links in the description for more. That'll do it for this video. Hope everyone has a great day. Peace, love, God bless. And we'll talk to you soon. See ya.